From Plymouth State University, PM Weather with student meteorologist Eric Jean.
Welcome to this Tuesday evening edition of PM Weather. I'm PSU student meteorologist Eric Jean. Flood watches and river flood warnings have been posted throughout much of the region, including right here in Plymouth, where we have a river flood warning for the Pemi River expected to crest just over its action stage of 10 feet, cresting at about 10.4 feet tomorrow morning. And that's associated with this last band of precipitation now starting to progress northwestward towards us and will affect us over the next couple hours with some heavy rain. Already we've seen totals along the New England coastline of 3 inches, 1 to 2 inches generally throughout much of Maine and central New Hampshire, and lesser amounts as we head off into northern New Hampshire and Vermont. And looking at some of the totals we see throughout much of the state, between 1.5 and 2.5 inches of rain has already fallen. Add on another 1/2 inch and we're up close to 3 inches in some spots like Conway. For your Plymouth Almanac for March 30th, 2010, we had a high today right where we should be at 47 degrees. This morning's low is at 37, which is much milder than a normal low of 23 due to the clouds and rains overnight. And we've picked up over 1/2 inch of rain already today, with about another 1/2 inch coming for the overnight hours. So we're right at our high still right at 5 p.m. with a temperature of 47 degrees and a dew point of 44 degrees. That gives us a relative humidity of 91%. We have a wind out of the north at 5 miles an hour, and our sea level pressure is 29.67 inches and falling rapidly. Your sun and moon data will have a sunset at 7:11 tonight with a moon that will be full, although we will not be able to see it because of the clouds, and a sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:30. So around the region we see mainly cloudy skies throughout much of Maine. We start to get in some showers and heavy precipitation as the radar showed you right along the southeastern part of New Hampshire, and that's slowly progressing to the north and east over time. And temperatures are generally in the lower to mid 40s throughout much of New England right now, even extending all the way back into upstate New York where we're just barely at 40 degrees in Albany. And where the precipitation ends is where we have some milder temperatures, 50s and 60s, over much of the mid-Atlantic states right now. And look off to the Midwest and the Plain states, we see this big jump in temperatures, 70s and 80s, and that'll be making its way eastward over the next few days into our region as we have the sunlight return and much warmer temperatures with the building ridge of high pressure. But for the rest of tonight, we'll see wet conditions mainly in the upper 30s to lower 40s as the storm system continues to spin right off the Long Island coast, but will eventually start to move eastward into the Maritimes through the day tomorrow, where we still see some lingering showers around, generally in the mid 40s to mid 50s tomorrow. And we could eventually start to see a few lighter breaks in the clouds with some sun possible towards the evening hours. But again, look at that cloud bank holding tight throughout upstate New York and much of Pennsylvania right now. Again, pinwheeling that moisture right off the Atlantic coastline into the region. But look at, once we get past that, mainly clear skies. And with that, temperatures will respond as we do get into that surge of warm air. But for tonight, we'll see temperatures mainly in the 30s, just like last night. Those 30s continue all the way down the eastern seaboard. Again, 40s through much of the mid-Atlantic or Midwest states, with teens and 20s through much of the Pacific Northwest. And that continues into tomorrow, where it will be slightly milder throughout much of New England, 50s, even some 60s. But look at the 70s start to progress eastward and northward through much of the mid-Atlantic states tomorrow, the Midwest in the 70s, 80s through much of Texas, 40s and 50s cooler weather along the Pacific West coast, and 30s again tomorrow night for lows, with 40s throughout much of the mid-Atlantic states, even some 50s down there in Florida, much cooler on your western coast, and the Rockies will be in the teens, 30s, and even some 40s out on the Pacific West coast. Rain chances for tonight, we'll see them gradually come to an end as we start to see some breaks in the heavy precipitation as the storm system begins to move off. And behind that, that high pressure builds in where we'll still have lingering showers throughout the day, but even a chance of a few breaks of sunshine, and things really start to clear out here tomorrow night as this high pressure begins to build into the region, giving us some nice clear skies for Thursday and some warm temperatures. So the last round of rain is tonight. An additional 1/2 inch of rain is expected with a low of 38 degrees. A wind out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy with lingering showers throughout much of the early morning hours and even into the early afternoon before we start to dry things out a little high around 49. And the north wind at 10 to 50 miles an hour, they'll be coming out of the northwest. And for tomorrow, tomorrow night we'll have gradual clearing, mostly clear by the morning hours. That'll help us cool down to 36 degrees in the morning hours of Thursday. Winds will be light and variable. Your PSU extended forecast showing a lot of sun in the future, partly cloudy on Thursday. Look at those temperatures. We go from the mid-60s on Thursday to lower 80s on Saturday, with temperatures right around average in terms of our low temperatures throughout much of the period, generally in the upper 30s to lower 40s. Remember, I'm PSU student meteorologist Eric Jean. Thank you for joining me for this edition of PM Weather. You can join me or my colleagues every weekday night at 7, 10, and 11. Have a great evening, everyone.